Hey Cancer, this is your look at the astrology of June 2021. My name is Katie Sweetman, and this is Empowering Astrology. So first, let's just have a little check-in, Cancer, because there's a lot of things going on right now, namely eclipse season. We started eclipse season last month. This is this kind of time every 6 months where things change. Sort of this new story, new chapter comes in. And I'm kind of starting with this, leading with this, Cancer, because you are a sign that is ruled by the moon. So you feel these changes more deeply, more emotionally, more energetically. So this, we'll just use this quick moment to have a check-in, because it's like, all right, well, how are you feeling? What do you need? I think it's always an important reminder that Cancer is a sign that needs a lot of emotional support, needs physical support as well. And maybe that's a little hard right now because things are moving and rearranging. This eclipse season comes as the sun is in Gemini. Yes, it's also Gemini season. And we are going to have a solar eclipse on June 10th. Not to get a little bit ahead of myself, but wanted to place this into large context because Gemini for you, Cancer, is what's called your 12th sign. When you get to Gemini season, you've gotten to the end of your personal zodiac calendar. It's a time to let go. It's a time to rest. It's a time to search within, look for deeper meaning in your life, and sort of wrap up a chapter that began with your birthday last year. I know there's a lot of things going on in your last birthday season. What worked? What didn't work? What did you learn? So you might have, you might be searching your soul a little bit. You might be feeling a bit inward as you go into the month. That said, we start the month off with Venus's arrival in Cancer. Yes, Venus will be in your sign for most of this month. And this means that, maybe after you are doing, of course, that reflection, that rest, that recuperation, but then you've got this other planet, Venus, sort of giving you a little bit of a boost, a little bit, feeling social, connect. Maybe you're wanting to figure out how to navigate this new time in your life. And I will say, this is the other sort of broader point I wanted to make. In addition to eclipse season, you got like a couple of years of this deeper period where you're doing a lot of deep inner work. Saturn is in what's called your 8th sign. And I did talk about this last month, so maybe it's worthwhile going back and rewatching May of 2021. But nevertheless, yeah, a lot of maybe some heavy emotions going into this month of June of 2021, and preparing to begin this very different chapter than you had, let's say, last year. And then we have Mars opposite Pluto. So Mars has been in Cancer, your sign, since I believe it was May. And Mars gives you a lot of, let's say, energy. You're Cancer, but you've had Mars. Mars is not a pushover, and maybe you've had to stand up for yourself. Maybe you've had to be more assertive over the last, let's say, month or so. But as Mars makes its way through Cancer, it's going to start to oppose something called Pluto. Pluto is over in your relationship sign of Capricorn. And this could be, there's a number of ways in which this could come up in your experiences this month. You might have to negotiate a power struggle with somebody, or maybe you're feeling a lot of powerful emotions come up as you go into the end of the first week of June. Maybe, again, sticking up for yourself, maybe needing to assert yourself to really... The thing about Pluto is it can sort of show us a shadow thing that we have to heal, we have to let go. So there's sort of this really intense alchemy that's happening the first week of June. So really pay attention to the stories that are happening with other people. It could be a partner, it could be an intimate partner, it could be somebody that you have a strong connection or a one-on-one connection in your life. But see where maybe your buttons are being pushed and how you can hopefully give this energy a positive outlet, because I think in general it plugs into the story that's unfolding in 2021 and 2022 and really the beginning of 2023, if we're being honest, where a lot has to shift and transform. And so maybe in the past, how you would navigate interpersonal relationships or take power or assert yourself was a certain way. And now here we are in 2021 and things have to be very different. to that point, and we go into the middle of the month, and we do have that new moon eclipse on almost in September, June 10th. And then we have on the 14th of June, we have something called Saturn square Uranus. So this is the analogy that I've been making for everybody throughout 2021. It feels like one tectonic plate of our life is pulling this way, and another tectonic plate is pulling this way. It's like one foot is in a new life, one foot is in an old life. And we're all feeling this intense split or need to resolve the tension and the friction between these two parts, these two halves of our life. So keep that in mind, because Saturn is your relationship planet, Cancer, and Saturn is the planet that does talk about these deeper emotions that are coming up for you. And Uranus is a planet of transformation, liberation, of getting out of old patterns or things that are stuck. And so when we go into the middle of the month on June 14th, with the second of 3 Saturn-Uranus squares, the third, by the way, will be in December, so quite a ways away. But I think this is transforming and pulling and pushing at how you do relationship. And I think a lot of that is reflected, or will be reflected, on the deep emotional, spiritual, psychic work that you're doing this month, that you have been doing, that you will continue to do. So if something happens on a confrontational level with somebody, a partner, an intimate partner, somebody that you have a one-on-one connection with, see how you might do it differently. See how maybe you can see how, saying that over and over again, maybe see how you can connect in a way that you have to negotiate differently, you have to connect differently, you have to assert yourself differently, because there's a lot of, let's say, powerful forces at play this month. And with Uranus and Taurus, the other end of the square, that part of your chart does talk about your community, your friends, your bigger goals, your bigger picture. So there's a lot of things happening with relationships this month, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whether it's somebody you have a one-on-one connection with. So I think there's just, again, this larger framework of astrology in June of 2021, where you just have to do relationships fundamentally and profoundly differently, and it all starts with you. And Mars will leave Cancer. It leaves Cancer, check my notes, on the 11th of June. And when it leaves Cancer and it goes into Leo, it's going to go into not just a fire sign, a sign that's about inspiration, about motivation. You're going to have a little bit more like pep in your step, so to speak. But that part of your chart is about money, income, material stability. So it's when you get into the second half of the month, you're going to be much more focused on, like, how do you get what you need on a monetary level or on a resource level? How do you create more stability and security in your life right now? And maybe this is in response to a lot of the things that are happening on an emotional or even a relationship level. So yes, money sort of takes precedent in the second half of this month. Again, on the 14th, we have a lot of shifts and moves happening with that second Saturn-Uranus square. We had the first one, by the way, on February 17th, so maybe just worth seeing what was going on the middle of February and how that connects to something that's happening in June for you. And then we're going into, the sun goes into Cancer, your birthday, and we start Cancer season at the end of the day on June 20th. It'll be June 21st for those in Europe or those in Australia, but on June 20th, the sun goes into Cancer, and it's a new season. Not just a new season like Cancer season, happy birthday, Cancer, but it's a new season, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's the start of summer. In the Southern Hemisphere, it's the start of winter. And so there's a sense that in the sort of the great wheel of life, we've turned a corner and we're now in a new period, a new time. Cancer is what's called a cardinal time, or a cardinal sign. It initiates new beginnings. Even though astrology has a Northern Hemisphere bias, for everybody, it wants us to get back to what matters. Cancer forms the bottom of the zodiac wheel. It's the fourth sign of the zodiac, although for you it's not the bottom, it's you. But for everybody, there is a need to plant roots, to focus on home and family, and to get our needs met. And of course, for you, it's a personal time. It's a time of new beginnings, rebirth, birthday celebrations, and starting of a new personal cycle. As we get into the later part of the month, actually on the 20th of June, so same day, Jupiter will go retrograde. If you remember from May's astrology, Jupiter just went into Pisces, so we're seeing an area of our life suddenly blow up a little bit because Jupiter makes things bigger. So wherever your Pisces area now has a lot more strength. And for you, Cancer, the Pisces part of your chart is about faith and truth and, what does everything mean and how do you see the world? And maybe you've had your eyes opened in the past few weeks. But when Jupiter turns retrograde, it's going to start this process of going back to Aquarius. So it will spend the second half of the year back in Aquarius as of July 28th, but really look at these bigger themes around truth and faith. And maybe you've been seeing the world a certain way, and Jupiter is, in Pisces, and it's helping you to see the world in a different way, and to really open up to deeper themes around spirituality and inner faith, inner meaning, because Pisces is a very spiritual sign. And then Mercury turns direct on March 22nd. And so it's not to say that we've had to put our lives on hold for Mercury retrograde. This is just a personal opinion. I think there's a lot of literature or things that are being said on the internet about Mercury retrograde. And I'm not saying Mercury retrograde isn't a thing, but we have to understand that all retrogrades are a change in phase. It's like instead of pushing out, we're pulling in. It's a time to be receptive. It's a time to think at things differently or to search within as opposed to start something new and go outward. So all planets go retrograde except for the sun and moon. Mercury just does it the most frequently. But if you have been waiting to sort of get things done, Mercury does turn direct at 16 Gemini on the 22nd of June. And then we go into the end of the month and we have a Capricorn full moon on the 23rd of June. And that Capricorn full moon puts relationships in the spotlight. So here's what I want to leave you with. Back in 2008, I know this is a long time ago, Pluto went into Capricorn. Again, Capricorn's your relationship sign. And it started a 16-year process. I know, yes, 16 years. Pluto spends 16 years in Capricorn of completely gut-level transforming relationships for you. It's like there's a room in your house and it's needed a lot of work, and that room, relationships, has been a construction zone over the last 13 years. I say this because I just want you to see some big picture stuff happening, because I think that full moon, even though it's at 3 degrees of Capricorn, sort of early in the sign, I think it's picking up, especially with the picking up on that Mars-Pluto opposition that we had earlier this month in terms of a storyline where you are in a new time with relationships. New things, new connections have to be forged. They cannot be based on the past. They can't be based even on old power dynamics. For example, if you've been in a toxic situation, maybe this full moon that's on the 23rd of June, you have to make some decisions about how to get out of that toxic situation. That full moon also picks up on Saturn square Uranus, and this full moon might really shift the tectonic plates of your life, and things might start to look a bit different as you go into July, but we will have to see. So that is your look at the astrology of June 2021. My name is Katie Sweetman. I am an astrologer and psychic medium here in New York City, and you can follow me online at empoweringastrology.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. You can book a consultation with me, sign up for my newsletter, or subscribe to this YouTube channel. So hope to see you all on my weekly Facebook Live or on the replay here on YouTube. I do a weekly astrology show, and then of course I'll see you all next month. Take care. Bye.